All right, time to take a look at what's grabbing headlines around the world. Let's start stateside. Flo joins us in the studio. Flo, everyone reacting to the resignation of Michael Flynn.
That's right. It's early days, it must be said, so reactions are just trickling in. The Washington Post, of course, was originally the paper to get that scoop. A couple days ago, they reported that Flynn had discussed economic sanctions with Russian authorities before Donald Trump's inauguration. So I thought it was fitting to take a Washington Post article to see how people are reacting. It's actually quite interesting, this analysis. It says that, what's really remarkable about this saga is how routine it has been. It feels normal, according to the Washington Post, normal in a presidency that so far has been not so normal. This article goes on to say that his resignation proves that even for the most unorthodox of presidents, well, it seems like some old rules of Washington politics still apply.
All right, well, staying in the US, papers are also continuing to react about North Korea's latest missile launch and how Donald Trump handled his first real national security scare.
That's right. Lots of interesting puns and headlines in the papers. They're calling it the missile crisis by candlelight or the open air situation dining room. You can get more details in the New York Times about just what happened. So essentially, President Trump and his top aides coordinated their response to this missile launch in full view of diners at Trump's Mar-a-Lago resort in Florida. So you can see here they're talking about a national security crisis in the open. It was a remarkable public display of presidential activity that, this kind of thing is almost always conducted behind closed doors in a secure private setting. And this really drew swift condemnation from Democrats who said, this was they say it was quite irresponsible for the president to discuss potentially classified information in full view of diners, of these club members. It really raises a whole array of ethical and national security issues because for now, we don't even know exactly who are these club members.
A little too much information for the club members as far as the Democrats are concerned anyway. Well, some of the guests posting photos of that scene on social media. It's been making the rounds.
That's right. You might have just seen that post in that article in the New York Times. The Washington Post also posted a very public Facebook post that has gone quite viral. You can see it here. This is Richard D'Agazio, who recently joined the club. You can see here in these photos, the aides, some of them are using cell phones to shine light on the table. You can see Trump also talking to Shinzo Abe, the Japanese prime minister, who was his guest that night. I like the comment here. Holy moly, this was fascinating to watch. Wow, we were really in the center of the action. This, of course, is what a lot of people have criticized. Now, the same Mr. D'Agazio posted another photo of himself that has made quite a lot of headlines as well. You can read about it in The Independent. Essentially, he posted a photo of himself and a man that he claimed carried what's known as the president's nuclear football. The nuclear football is a briefcase that never leaves the president's side and which allows him to authorize a nuclear strike. So it's quite incredible that he would post this photo, this very public photo of him with this man. It's interesting to note that The Independent decided to blur his photo and remove his name.
Okay, politics is becoming a lot less dull and a bit more exciting, some might say. All right, aside from Trump and how he dealt with this security crisis, many papers are looking at the actual impact of this missile launch, specifically in relation to South Korea.
That's right. South Korea, of course, always pays very close attention to what happens in the north. Let's take a look at the Chosun Ilbo, a paper in South Korea, where they're focusing on just what kind of missile this was. It was a new intermediate-range ballistic missile. It had essentially a longer range. It's harder to detect, and lots of editorials as well. I pulled out one from the Korea Times that focuses on the fact that this really was a test for just to see how Donald Trump would react to this. And this actually has a word of warning for Kim Jong-un and says that he better put his nuclear missile plans on the ice because for now, the U.S. is ruled by a leader less docile than Barack Obama and much more unpredictable than the North Korean leader.
Well, it's not only the states that are sitting up and taking notice. Equally, China, an ally of North Korea, are doing the same.
That's right. It's really interesting to see the tone of the editorial in the China Daily today, so the official state newspaper, really trying to calm things down here, saying, look, first of all, for North Korea, the possession of a nuclear weapon by no means will make North Korea safer. It'll turn the whole peninsula into a tinderbox. Everyone will be a loser. And you can see they're really calling for calm here. This move calls for peace talks rather than talks of war.
All right, well, staying with China Daily, you've got a cartoon about St. Valentine's Day.
That's right. I must admit, this cartoon is really weird. I decided to show it to you
We're
today.
keen to see it, Flo.
This is the, well, you can see what men love. 2 hearts here. Apparently, it's very different on Valentine's Day. They like their wife 80%, Wi-Fi 20%, or Wi-Fi. Other days, it's the complete opposite. Wi-Fi is 80%, the wife is 20%. You can see she doesn't look too happy about that. Thought I'd share that weird cartoon. But what's interesting is Valentine's Day is obviously a huge commercial holiday in many parts of the world. It's particularly huge in Asia. But what's interesting is it's getting quite a chilly reception in some parts of Asia this year. In Pakistan, for instance, you can read about it in Dawn here. A court has banned public celebrations of Valentine's Day in the capital, Islamabad, saying essentially it's vulgar and indecent Western import that goes against Islamic teachings.
All right, well, in the UK, The Guardian is taking advantage of Valentine's Day to look at marriage, closer look at marriage.
That's right. I thought it was really interesting. Keep in mind, this is the editorial of The Guardian, so they're really taking this occasion to look at marriage and the fact that fewer and fewer people are getting married in Great Britain, but the law hasn't really kept up. Straight couples, for instance, cannot form civil partnerships for their relationship to be recognized by law. It's marriage or nothing. So The Guardian is calling for things to change, give rights to straight couples. I like the way this article starts out. It says, Valentine's Day may not be the best day to remember that relationships don't all work out, but some do. And so they're calling for everyone to have equal rights.
Okay, all right, Flo, thank you very much for the roundup, the International Papers Roundup. We're going to take a short break. Coming up, though, after the break, we'll have Focus for you. We'll go to Germany, where it's not a case of high unemployment, it's a case of too much work and not enough manpower. Do stay tuned, you're watching France 24.